Commander Alan Pierce stared at the message flashing on his screen. His hands trembled slightly as he read it again. An alien ship had entered Earth's orbit without triggering any defense systems. They wanted to talk. "This has to be some kind of joke," he muttered, but deep down he knew it wasn't. Within hours, the world's leaders gathered in emergency meetings. News channels showed the massive ship hanging in the sky like a silver cloud. People filled the streets, some scared, others excited, many just confused. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council, a group of 27 different species who ruled most of the known galaxy. Their representative, a tall blue-skinned being named Zixtar, spoke perfect English as he addressed the United Nations. "We come in peace and friendship," Zixtar said, his four arms moving in gentle gestures. "We wish to welcome humanity into our galactic family." Secretary General Michelle Anderson smiled for the cameras, but her eyes remained cautious. "We are honored by your visit and look forward to learning from your advanced civilization." Over the next few days, the Council showed off amazing technology. They cured diseases, demonstrated energy sources that made nuclear power look primitive, and promised to help humanity reach the stars. Science officer Olivia Rodriguez worked day and night studying the alien technology samples. Something didn't feel right. The devices seemed deliberately limited. "They're showing us toys," she told Commander Pierce in a private meeting. "Nothing that could actually help us catch up to them." At the negotiation table, Lieutenant Sam Morin noticed how the aliens flinched whenever humans mentioned building their own spaceships or defense systems. And of course, as observers to the Council, Earth would need to follow certain guidelines. Zixtar explained smoothly. "For your own protection, naturally." Sam couldn't stay quiet. "So we get no vote, but have to follow all your rules." That sounds more like a colony than a partnership. The room fell silent. Zixtar's skin darkened slightly. "Your species is young. There are dangerous forces in the galaxy. These measures are for your safety." That evening, Olivia found hidden files in the Council's technical database. She rushed to Michelle Anderson's office without bothering to knock. "They think we're savages," she said, dropping a tablet on the desk. "Look at their internal reports. They call us primitives with nuclear capabilities and dangerously aggressive. They're not here to welcome us. They're here to control us." Michelle read through the files, her face growing harder with each page. They'd done this before to other species. First friendly contact, then restrictions, then complete domination. "We need to refuse their terms," Commander Pierce said. Michelle shook her head. "We can't. Look at the section on non-compliant species. Those who refused aren't around anymore." The next day, Earth signed the Council's treaty. Television showed smiling leaders and promises of a bright future together. Behind closed doors, Michelle gathered her most trusted advisors. "We accept their terms for now," she said quietly. "We smile and nod, and thank them for their generosity. Meanwhile, we prepare." Alan Pierce looked out the window at the alien ships now permanently stationed in orbit. "For what?" "For the day they cross the line," Michelle replied. "Because they will. Bullies always do. And when that happens, we need to be ready." Olivia Rodriguez placed a small device on the table. "I've created something that blocks their surveillance. They won't be able to detect what we say in this room." Sam Morin's eyes narrowed. "So what's our first move?" "We learn everything we can," Michelle said. "We reverse engineer their technology when possible. We build our strength in secret. And most importantly, we wait for them to make a mistake." As they spoke, more Council ships appeared in the sky, beautiful and terrifying. Earth had just changed forever, and few people understood the true cost of their new friends from the stars. The line hadn't been crossed yet, but it would be, and humanity would be ready. 5 years passed since the Galactic Council arrived on Earth. Their tall silver buildings now stood in every major city. Alien officials with their strange blue skin walked through government halls like they owned them. In many ways they did. Colonel Jack Monroe watched a council ship fly overhead from his office window. He closed the blinds and turned to his team. "They're up to something again," he said. "3 more scientists disappeared last week." His secret military unit operated from an old warehouse that looked abandoned from the outside. Inside, 20 of Earth's best minds worked to understand what the Council was really doing on their planet. Diane Foster hunched over a Council communication device. Her fingers moved quickly across its surface as she tried to break into its programming. "Got it," she exclaimed suddenly. The screen lit up with alien text and symbols. "Just as I thought. Every device they've given us sends data back to their ships." Jack peered at the screen. "Can you tell what kind of data?" "Everything," Diane said. "Our conversations, movement patterns, even power usage. And look at this hidden code. They can remotely shut down any technology they've given us." Meanwhile, across the city, Admiral George Hayes attended another pointless meeting with Council representatives. They spoke about cooperation and progress, while actually limiting human advancement at every turn. "We believe Earth is not yet ready for interstellar travel capabilities," said the Council member called Vrax. "For your protection, we must deny this request." George nodded politely, though inside he was furious. This was the 5th technology request denied this month. Back in his office, he met with Michelle Anderson, who still served as Secretary General. "They've set up weapon platforms beyond Mars," George told her quietly. "Our deep space probes detected them before being destroyed." Michelle's face hardened. "So we're prisoners in our own solar system." "Worse than that," George replied. "I received a secret message from a species called the Nyx-Eri. They managed to contact us through channels the Council doesn't monitor. Earth has been classified as a controlled development zone. That's their term for planets they're slowly stripping of resources." In her underground lab, Olivia Rodriguez examined soil samples from around Council mining operations. The results confirmed her fears. "They're not just taking common metals," she told Jack when he visited. "They're extracting rare elements that we haven't even fully studied yet. Elements that could revolutionize our technology if we had the chance to research them." Jack showed her photos of missing scientists. "Do you think the Council took them because they discovered something important?" "Unsure of it," Olivia replied. "Dr. Liang was researching alternative energy just before she vanished, and Professor Kelly was working on advanced propulsion systems." That evening, Jack's team intercepted a strange transmission. It came from a small ship that briefly entered Earth's atmosphere before the Council chased it away. The message was brief. "Humans beware. You are not the first. We were like you once. The Council will take everything. Prepare or perish." In their secret command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Michelle met with Earth's remaining leaders. Many looked defeated after years under Council control. But something was changing. "We now have proof of their true intentions," Michelle said, "and we're not alone in resisting them. The Nyx-Eri have promised to help us if we can show we're serious about fighting back." George spread out maps of Mars. "We've been building there in secret. Underground facilities where we can develop technology away from Council eyes." "How long before they discover it?" someone asked. "Not long enough," George admitted, "but maybe long enough to give us a fighting chance." Outside, Council ships patrolled the night sky, watching for any sign of resistance. They believed humans were under control, docile, obedient, and thoroughly contained. They were wrong. The red dust of Mars swirled around the entrance of the underground base. Director Daniel Wright checked his oxygen levels before stepping back inside. The airlock sealed behind him with a soft hiss. "How's the Defiance coming along?" he asked, removing his helmet. Captain Lisa Stewart looked up from her tablet and smiled. "She's almost ready. We just finished installing the new engines. Want to see?" They walked through tunnels carved deep into the Martian rock. The base had grown over the past 2 years. Over 3,000 people now lived and worked in this secret facility, all dedicated to one purpose: breaking free from the Galactic Council's control. They entered a massive underground hangar where the UES Defiance waited. The ship looked nothing like traditional human spacecraft. Its sleek hull gleamed under the lights. "She's beautiful," Daniel said. "How did you manage the energy core?" Dr. Karen Miller solved that problem, Lisa replied. She reversed engineered the Council's power systems and improved them. The Defiance can outrun anything they have. Karen Miller approached them, wiping grease from her hands. Short with bright eyes, she had been Earth's leading physicist before disappearing to Mars. The real breakthrough was understanding how their shields work, Karen explained. Once we cracked that, everything else fell into place. Back on Earth, the Council grew suspicious. Their surveillance detected unusual power readings from Mars. In their orbiting headquarters, the Council leader Zix Tor studied the reports. "There is unauthorized activity on the Red Planet," he told his commanders. "Humans were explicitly forbidden from developing space technology." "Perhaps it's just a mining operation," one suggested. Zix Tar's eyes narrowed. "Send probes. I want to know exactly what they're doing." On Mars, alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. Lisa rushed to the control room where operators monitored the space around Mars. "Council ships approaching," a young man reported. "At least 5 of them." Daniel grabbed the communication system. "This is Director Wright. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill." In the ship hangar, engineers rushed to prepare the Defiance. Karen worked frantically to finish the shield systems. "We need another day," she told Lisa. "The weapons aren't fully calibrated." "We don't have a day," Lisa replied grimly. The first message from the Council arrived minutes later. Zix Tar's face filled the screens throughout the base. "Humans of Mars, you have violated the terms of our agreement. Cease all operations immediately and surrender your facility." Daniel stepped forward to respond. "This is Director Wright. We are conducting peaceful research and development on our own planet. We have the right to." "You have no rights except those we grant you," Zix Tar interrupted. "You have 1 hour to surrender." The command team gathered quickly. "Can we evacuate?" Daniel asked. "Not everyone," Lisa said. "The transport ships can only take about half our people." The Defiance. "Not ready for battle," Karen said, "but we could use it to evacuate some people." They began emergency preparations, loading essential research data and key personnel onto escape vessels. But they were too late. Without warning, the Council ships opened fire. The first blast hit the main power generators. The base plunged into darkness before emergency lights flickered on. "They didn't even wait the hour," Daniel said in disbelief. The bombardment continued. Sections of the base collapsed. Fires broke out. In the chaos, Lisa ordered the Defiance to launch with as many survivors as possible. Karen ran back to her lab to retrieve critical research data. "I can't let them get this," she told her assistant. As they rushed toward the hangar, the ceiling collapsed. Karen pushed her assistant through the doorway, just before being crushed under the falling debris. By the time the Council ships finished their attack, the Mars colony was in ruins. Over 7,000 people died. Only a few hundred escaped on the Defiance and small transport vessels. On Earth, the Council announced that they had neutralized a dangerous threat. They called it a regrettable but necessary action to prevent unstable technology from threatening galactic peace. But they had made a fatal mistake. They had crossed the line, and humanity would never forgive. 2 weeks after the Mars massacre, General Christopher Scott stood in an underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. Maps and screens covered the walls. 20 people sat around a large table, their faces grim. "Project Phoenix begins today," Christopher said. "Each of you was chosen because you're the best at what you do. Our mission is simple but nearly impossible. We're going to defeat the Galactic Council." No one laughed. After Mars, no one thought it was a joke anymore. Paula Davis entered the room, still limping from injuries she received on Mars. She placed a small data cube on the table. "This contains everything Dr. Miller was working on before she died," Paula said quietly. She saved it with her life. It's the key to understanding Council weapons technology. Christopher nodded. Dr. Garcia, this is yours now. Learn everything you can from it. Benjamin Garcia, a physicist with kind eyes and steady hands, took the cube carefully. I worked with Karen for years. I'll make sure her sacrifice wasn't wasted. On the other side of the world, Intelligence Officer Ryan Lewis met with a nervous-looking blue-skinned alien in a dark corner of a Tokyo bar. The alien's name was Krell, a low-level Council technician. "Why are you helping us?" Ryan asked. Krell's 4 fingers tapped nervously on the table. "Not all Council species agree with what happened on Mars. Some of us were once like you. Controlled, limited, exploited. What they did was wrong." Ryan slid a small device across the table. "Can you place this in the main communication hub? It will get me killed if I'm caught," Krell said, but took the device anyway. Meanwhile, Admiral George Hayes smiled and bowed to Council representatives at a public ceremony. Earth governments were officially condemning the illegal Mars operation and thanking the Council for their continued guidance. "We deeply regret the actions of these rogue elements," George said into microphones, his face the perfect mask of submission. "Earth remains committed to peaceful cooperation." That same night, George met secretly with Christopher's team. "The Council bought it. They think we're frightened and beaten." "Good," Christopher replied. "Fear is making them careless. They've reduced security on their lunar base." Special Forces operative Julia Martinez studied images of the base. "I can get in. Their ventilation system has gaps in the sensor coverage." "What's the target?" she asked. "Their central database," Ryan explained. "We need their patrol schedules, defense codes, and ship locations." Julia nodded. "When do I leave?" "Tonight," Christopher said. 3 days later, Commander Eric Bell received Julia's data package. His fingers flew over keyboards as he worked to break into the Council's communication network. "This is incredible," he said, eyes wide. "They're using standardized security protocols across their entire system. Once we're in one network, we're in all of them," Christopher finished. Eric nodded. "They never expected anyone to get this far. Their arrogance is our advantage." Paula reviewed the Mars survivor list again. "We have engineers, pilots, scientists, all trained and motivated. They watched their friends die. They'll follow us anywhere." Benjamin looked up from Dr. Miller's data. "I think I've found something. The Council weapons have a fundamental flaw in their energy signature. If we can exploit it." Christopher turned to Admiral Hayes. "How soon can we begin moving people to the asteroid belt bases?" "We've already started," George replied. "Small groups disguised as mining operations. The Council barely monitors that region." Around the table, humanity's resistance leaders continued planning. On screens above them, Council ships patrolled Earth's skies, their crews confident in their absolute control. In public, Earth's officials continued to apologize. They dismantled space programs, reduced military forces, and accepted ever stricter Council oversight, the perfect picture of a defeated species. But underground, in secret bases and hidden factories, Operation Trojan Horse moved forward. The Council thought they had won. They had no idea what was coming. Hidden among the rocks of the asteroid belt, Commander Natalie Park floated through the cavernous space dock. All around her, workers in space suits welded, assembled, and tested equipment on the growing fleet of ships. "How's the Vengeance coming along?" she asked, grabbing a handrail to stop herself. Chief Engineer Frank Sullivan gestured toward the largest ship in the dock. Unlike the clunky vessels humans had built before, this one had sleek lines and a hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "She'll be ready for tests next week," Frank said proudly. "We've installed the weapons systems based on Dr. Garcia's designs." Natalie pushed off toward the flagship. Inside, crews worked on control panels and power systems. The ship hummed with energy. "This wasn't what the Council expected when they shared their technology with us," Natalie said, running her hand along a smooth wall. Frank laughed. They gave us scraps, thinking we couldn't do much with them. They didn't understand human creativity. In a different section of the asteroid base, Dr. Jason Miller calibrated the propulsion system he had designed. It combined Council technology with human innovations in ways the aliens never imagined. The test run exceeded all expectations, he told Natalie when she visited his lab. The Vengeance will be faster than anything in the Council fleet. And they won't see us coming? She asked. Jason shook his head. The stealth system absorbs their scanning signals instead of reflecting them. We'll be invisible until we're right on top of them. Elsewhere in the base, Lieutenant William Foster trained soldiers in a large zero-gravity chamber. Men and women in combat suits practiced moving and fighting without the aid of Earth's gravity. Again, William shouted as a team tried to capture a target point. In space, you get one chance. Miss your target, and you keep going forever. The soldiers regrouped and tried again, their movements becoming more precise with each attempt. Supply Officer Andrea Holmes reviewed inventory lists in her office. Getting materials to the asteroid belt, without the Council noticing, had been her challenge for months. We're still short on medical supplies, she told Natalie during their daily meeting. But the last Earth shipment included extra titanium disguised as mining equipment. How much longer can we keep this hidden? Natalie asked. Andrea frowned. Council patrols are increasing. They're still focused on Mars and the outer planets, but eventually they'll take a closer look at these mining operations. On Earth, Admiral Hayes presented a plan to the Council representatives to decommission more military bases. The aliens nodded in approval as he explained how Earth was embracing peace under their guidance. We're even converting our naval shipyards to civilian use, George said with a convincing smile. What he didn't mention was that the shipyard equipment was being secretly moved to the asteroid belt, piece by piece. In his private quarters that night, George received an encrypted message from Natalie. Fleet at 60% completion. Vengeance ready for testing phase. He sent back a single word: proceed. The next day, the Vengeance slipped silently from its dock. Only a skeleton crew was aboard for this first test run. Natalie sat in the captain's chair, feeling the power of the ship around her. Take us out slowly, she ordered. Minimal energy signature. The massive ship moved between asteroids with surprising grace. Its engines barely whispered. Stealth systems functioning perfectly, the sensor officer reported. No sign of Council detection. They traveled farther from the base, testing speed and maneuverability. When they were satisfied, Natalie gave the order to test the weapon system on a small, uninhabited asteroid. The beam that shot from the ship cut through the rock like it was paper. Power levels higher than predicted, the weapons officer said, sounding surprised. Natalie nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Take us home. We have work to do. As the Vengeance returned to its hidden dock, a Council patrol ship passed nearby. It noticed nothing unusual, just the normal background radiation of the asteroid belt. The humans' greatest weapon remained invisible, growing stronger every day. Captain Rebecca Boyd stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching her crew prepare for humanity's first real strike against the Galactic Council. After months of planning, the moment had finally arrived. All systems ready, Captain, her first officer reported. Rebecca nodded. Begin approach. Maintain stealth protocols. The massive ship moved silently through space, heading toward a Council monitoring station orbiting Jupiter. This station was the heart of the Council's surveillance network in the outer solar system. Remember, Rebecca told her crew, we need to capture it intact. The data inside is more valuable than the station itself. Two smaller ships flanked the Vengeance, carrying Special Forces teams trained by Lieutenant Foster. They would board the station while the Vengeance kept any reinforcements at bay. Council vessels detected, the sensor officer announced. 2 patrol ships on routine circuit. Hold position, Rebecca ordered. Let them pass. The bridge crew waited in tense silence as the alien ships moved through their patrol route, oblivious to the human vessels hiding in Jupiter's shadow. When the patrol moved away, Rebecca gave the signal. Commence operation. The Vengeance surged forward, reaching the station before any alarms could sound. The smaller ships attached to the docking ports and boarding teams in spacesuits cut their way inside. Major Kevin Rivera led the main assault team. "We're in," he reported through his helmet comm. "Minimal resistance. They weren't expecting visitors." Inside the station, the council staff surrendered quickly. They had never faced a serious threat this far out in the solar system. "Download everything," Kevin ordered his tech specialists. "Defense codes, patrol schedules, communication protocols, all of it." One of the technicians called him over. "Sir, look at this. The station's database contains access codes to their entire defense network." Kevin smiled inside his helmet. "Download it all." On the Vengeance, Rebecca received an urgent message. "Captain, Council reinforcements incoming." 3 destroyers just appeared on long-range sensors. "They responded faster than expected," Rebecca said. "Major Rivera, what's your status?" "Need 5 more minutes to complete the download," came the reply. Rebecca studied the tactical display. "You have 3 minutes. Then we're leaving, with or without you." She turned to her weapons officer. "Activate the mines." Weeks earlier, human stealth drones had placed explosive devices along likely approach routes to the station. Now, as the council ships raced toward them, Rebecca triggered the trap. The space around Jupiter lit up with explosions. 2 council ships took heavy damage. The third veered away. "Major, time's up," Rebecca warned. "Download complete. We're on our way back," Kevin replied. His teams rushed back to their ships, bringing captured council technology and valuable data. As the human vessels pulled away from the station, the council finally realized what had happened. Alarms blared throughout their network. The damaged ships limped back to their bases, while emergency messages flooded their communication channels. On Earth, the council representatives stormed into government offices, demanding answers. "This unprovoked attack is an act of war," the council leader Zix Tar shouted at Admiral Hayes. "Earth must surrender the terrorists responsible immediately." George looked appropriately shocked and concerned. "We condemn these actions in the strongest terms. These must be the same radicals who built the illegal Mars base. We will cooperate fully to bring them to justice." Meanwhile, communications specialist Peter Ramirez prepared humanity's message to the galaxy. Using the code stolen from the Jupiter station, he bypassed Council communication controls and broadcast footage of the Mars massacre throughout the galactic network. "See the true face of the Galactic Council," his message said. "This is what awaits any species that seeks independence." The response was immediate. On 6 worlds, species that had lived under Council rule for generations began their own uprisings. The Council, suddenly facing multiple rebellions, scrambled to maintain control. In their panic, they made another mistake. They declared martial law on Earth, sending troops to major cities to maintain order. As alien soldiers marched through human streets, resistance cells that had prepared for years sprang into action. The war had finally begun. Ambassador Sofia Martinez stepped onto the bridge of the UES Defiance. After 3 weeks of secret travel, they had finally reached the rendezvous point in neutral space. Outside the viewports, 3 alien ships waited. "Are you sure about this?" Captain Gregory Chen asked quietly. Sophia adjusted her formal jacket. "No, but we're out of options. We need allies." The Defiance had escaped Earth with key diplomatic personnel just as the Council imposed martial law. Their mission: to form an alliance with other species who had suffered under Council rule. "Opening communication channels," the comm officer announced. The main screen lit up, showing 3 different alien faces. On the left was Onyxari, their skin pale with delicate patterns. In the center, a Keldraxian commander with 4 eyes and armored skin. On the right, a representative of the Vorel, insect-like beings known for their advanced technology. "I am Ambassador Martinez of Earth," Sophia began. We share a common enemy in the Galactic Council. We propose an alliance of equals to end their tyranny. The Nixari spoke first. Your species fights bravely, but you are young. What can Earth offer this alliance? Sophia nodded to Gregory, who sent data to the alien ships. Council defense codes, access to their communication networks, and weapons specifically designed to counter Council technology. The aliens study the information with surprise. How did you obtain these? The Keldraxian demanded. We learned from the Council's mistakes, Sophia explained. They underestimated us. They thought humans were primitive and easily controlled. The Vorel's mandibles clicked softly, and yet you've managed to breach their most secure systems in less than a decade. Impressive. Back in Earth's solar system, the war intensified. Council troops faced growing resistance in every city they occupied. Admiral Hayes coordinated attacks from a mobile command center that constantly changed location to avoid detection. The Council is pulling ships from the outer planets to reinforce Earth, his tactical officer reported. George smiled grimly. Just as we hoped. Signal Captain Boyd. The UES Vengeance and 3 other ships from humanity's hidden fleet immediately launched attacks on weakened Council positions across the solar system. With each victory, they captured more alien technology and freed human outposts. Meanwhile, Dr. Amanda Nelson worked day and night in her lab beneath the Pacific Ocean. The data from captured Council ships had revealed something crucial about their weapon systems. They all used the same control protocol, she explained to General Scott during a secure transmission. It's their weakness. They value standardization over security. Christopher leaned closer to the screen. Can you exploit it? Amanda nodded, her tired eyes suddenly bright. I've developed a virus that can temporarily disable their weapons. Once it enters their network, it will spread to every Council ship. How do we deliver it? Christopher asked. We need to upload it directly to a major Council communication hub, Amanda replied. The closest one is on their lunar base. In space, the alliance Sophia had formed grew stronger. The Nixari contributed their stealth technology. The Keldraxians provided battle-hardened soldiers. The Vorel shared advanced medical techniques that saved countless lives. Together with Earth's forces, they began systematic attacks on Council strongholds throughout the galaxy. With each victory, more oppressed species joined the rebellion. On the Council homeworld, the ruling members gathered in emergency session. This cannot continue, one member argued. We must negotiate with the humans. Zixtar slammed his fist down. Negotiate. With savages? Impossible. Those savages have united half the galaxy against us, another Council member pointed out. Our forces are stretched too thin. After heated debate, the Council sent a message to Earth offering a ceasefire. Their terms: humans would remain under Council oversight, but with greater autonomy and representation. Admiral Hayes read the offer and shared it with Earth's remaining leaders and their new allies. They still don't understand, Sophia said, shaking her head. This isn't just about Earth anymore. George's reply to the Council was brief. Unconditional surrender. Full reparations to all dominated species, nothing less. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the Council's response. The massive shape of Capitol Station hung in space like a silver star. For centuries, it had been the center of Council power, the place where they decided the fate of countless worlds. Now it stood as their last stronghold. Captain Rebecca Boyd looked at the tactical display on the Vengeance's bridge. Around her flagship, ships from a dozen different species moved into position for the final assault. All battle groups report ready, her first officer said. Rebecca nodded. And the special operation. Major Rivera's team is aboard the Nixari stealth ship. They're approaching the station's blind spot now. While the Allied fleet prepared for a frontal assault, Kevin Rivera led a small team on a critical mission. They needed to upload Dr. Nelson's virus to the station's main computer and disable its powerful defense systems. Kevin checked his team one last time. Remember, we need to reach the central hub. The virus won't work from any other access point. Their ship silently attached to the station's outer hull. Using cutting tools, they created an opening and slipped inside. The corridors were strangely empty. "They've pulled everyone to the defense sections," Kevin whispered. "Keep moving." Meanwhile, the Allied fleet began its attack. The Vengeance led the charge, drawing heavy fire from the station's weapons. Council ships rushed to defend their headquarters. Shields at 70%. Rebecca's tactical officer reported as the ship shook from enemy fire. "Hold position," she ordered. "We need to keep their attention until the virus is uploaded." Inside the station, Kevin's team fought their way through increasing resistance. 2 team members fell to Council guards, but the rest pressed on. Finally, they reached the central computer hub. "Uploading now," Kevin said as they connected Dr. Nelson's device. On the Council's command deck, alarms blared. Zix-Tar watched in horror as system after system began shutting down. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Our weapons are failing," a technician replied. "Something is attacking the control protocols." Zix-Tar turned to his last resort. "Activate the Doomsday device. If we cannot rule the galaxy, no one will." But Kevin had anticipated this. As Zix-Tar entered the activation code, nothing happened. "The humans blocked it somehow," a council member said, voice trembling. Outside, Rebecca saw the station's weapons go dark. "All ships, advance. Boarding parties prepare." The Allied fleet surged forward. Hundreds of ships launched boarding craft toward the now defenseless station. Council vessels, also affected by the virus, drifted helplessly. Kevin secured the command center just as Rebecca led the main boarding party onto the station. Council leaders, for the first time in their history, faced beings they had once ruled standing as equals. "In the name of the Allied worlds, you are under arrest for crimes against sentient species," Rebecca announced. Zix-Tar looked at the humans with disbelief. "How? You were primitives. We gave you scraps of technology. How did you defeat us?" Rebecca smiled grimly. "You crossed a line. You thought fear would control us. Instead, it united us against you." 3 months later, Commander Alan Pierce stood in the new Galactic Confederation Council chamber, built where the old Council's headquarters once stood. As humanity's first representative, he watched species from across the galaxy take their equal places. The Mars colony was being rebuilt, with a memorial to those who died there at its center. Dr. Karen Miller's name stood first on the list of honored dead. Earth had become a major diplomatic center, with alien visitors walking freely among humans. The technology sharing that the Council had promised but never delivered now flowed freely between Allied worlds. Science Officer Olivia Rodriguez, now heading the Joint Scientific Committee, presented her first report to the new Council. "By working together, we've already achieved what the old Council claimed was impossible. Clean energy, faster ships, better medicine. All because we share knowledge instead of hoarding it." Ellen looked around the chamber at the faces of former enemies now working together. The Council had crossed a line when they attacked Mars, believing humanity would be easily controlled. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't understand, not just humanity's fighting spirit, but its ability to unite others toward a common goal. The Galactic Council was gone forever. In its place stood something better, something built on equality rather than fear, and it had all started because someone crossed a line.